Hi there. So we got a lot of positive feedback from the Black Clown's instructional video. We found that at this point we have, I think, 12 hits on YouTube. What we found was that people, our fans, really appreciate the ability to play the songs by us that they know and love, but haven't been able to crack the code of whether it's the chord structure or just the soul from within the song itself, to be able to play it for their friends. What we decided to do was to make another instructional video for another old RotMT classic, and we didn't ask anybody, but we figured if you were going to want to know how to play a RotMT song aside from Black Clowns, what would it be? And the one that came to mind first was Christopher Lee and Morgan Freeman Have Gay Sex from our album Because You're a Woman. Now, Christopher Lee and Morgan Freeman Have Gay Sex is not a typical guitar verse chorus verse song. You don't need a guitar for it. You don't need any actual instruments per se for it. What you do need for the song is, first and foremost, a copy of McCartney 2, the 1980 Paul McCartney solo album. This is the album that he did right after Wings started to disintegrate. He was getting into some sort of outsider realm music. What I showed you was the LP, but actually you will need a CD or MP3 version of the album, because the track that we use as a sample on Christopher Lee and Morgan Freeman Have Gay Sex is not actually on the album itself. It is a bonus track on McCartney 2 named Check My Machine. Now, Check My Machine runs about 5 minutes 52 seconds, and Christopher Lee and Morgan Freeman Have Gay Sex runs about 5 minutes and 56 seconds. Now, if you want to play the song verbatim, you can listen to the song and transcribe what's actually being said and the tones of the noises being heard yourself. But the way we're going to try to teach it to you is more of a jazz interpretation, so that you can have the basic skeleton of the song, but interpret it as a way that you see fit. Now, what we need to do first is play McCartney 2, Check My Machine.
Hi, George. Morning, Terry. Hi, George. Morning, Terry. Stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me.
Now, at this point, you're going to want to start entering the song with, instead of making it just McCartney 2, you're going to want to start adding on sex noises. It's best if you do this song with 3 people. You can do it by yourself if you use overlays, but preferably the way we did it live, and we had 3 microphones. We had one person being in charge of sex noises. Not necessarily the words being spoken by Christopher Lee or Morgan Freeman, but the noises that would be made as they were having sexual encounters with one another. These noises can consist of something sounding like a hand being smushed into a mayonnaise jar, turning a mayonnaise jar over and waiting for the pressure to release so that it can plop down on the ground. Very visceral mayonnaise-related sounds. Also, Nickelodeon gack is another thing you can think of, or just sex organs entering an orifice. Whatever you prefer. I believe that our drummer Lewis Walton used the mayonnaise method, but you can take whatever interpretation you want. So I'm going to play a sample of Check My Machine and do the sex noises now. Now, as the song goes on, you can move from just the visceral sort of liquid mashing noises into grunting noises that might not be spoken by the 2 band members portraying Morgan Freeman and Christopher Lee, like. But it's important, at least in our interpretation of the song, to have one person making noises and the other two people making dialogue. Now, getting into it. Dialogue for the song can be completely up to your own interpretation. Like I said before, you can choose to repeat exactly what was said in the RotMT version of the song, but my advice to you is, if you're a fan of the band and you're a fan of the song, you probably have a good idea of what Christopher Lee and Morgan Freeman's films are, what some of the more notable quotes from those films are, and what would be appropriate ways to use those quotes as double entendres and allegories while the two of them would be having intercourse. Examples would be Driving Miss Daisy. For Morgan Freeman, there's a lot of opportunities there. You can use driving as opposed to driving a car. You could make it as if he was having sex with Christopher Lee from behind and driving him instead of a car. There's also Shawshank Redemption. In Shawshank Redemption, Tim Robbins' character crawled through a sewage pipe. Now, that could be portrayed as symbolism as crawling through someone's butthole, but instead of crawling, a phallus entering the butthole, because it's sewage. As far as Christopher Lee portrayed Dracula in many Hammer horror films, and you could make references to sucking. You could make references to... sucking would be the main thing from Dracula. You can make references to the new Star Wars movies. There wasn't really anything sexual about those movies, but those movies were terrible, and I think they're an easy target, and that's one of the things that we went for with that. So, essentially, we've laid it out for you, how to do the song, and this was our sort of view entering writing this particular song, and from just the tutelage that you've received here today, I believe that anybody who has watched this video and listened to the song can perform the song on their own, maybe even a cover that exceeds our own personal version. You can check it on YouTube. Just type in Christopher Lee and Morgan Freeman Have Gay Sex, RotMT, or possibly RotMT Because You're a Woman. It should be the first link that pops up. And you can also listen to Check My Machine and the whole album, McCartney 2. It's a fantastic album. I think it's a very underrated, we all think it's a very underrated solo former Beatle album. And if you have any requests for any other songs, then please write us, email us, and we'll look into it. Now I'm going to play us out with a little bit more of Check My Machine, and see you all later.